Well, this morning I'm joined by Reece Watson, who's founder and Chief Technical Officer of Raw
That's right.
Stadia, a company that was just founded last year. So, Reece, I don't suppose when you did all your first year projections and SWOT analysis, you could really have anticipated the situation we're in now. So, how's it been?
Yeah, obviously it's very hard to plan for a pandemic and a world financial crisis, but yeah, it's obviously starting a new business, having a startup and everything what goes with it is an emotional roller coaster anyway. So this is just part of that, another part of that emotional roller coaster. But yeah, it's been an enjoyable first year. We've got to focus on the successes that we've had. It's been really enjoyable. I've learned a lot. I've pushed myself. We've got a great team. We're doing some great things. So I'm very proud of where we're at the minute, pandemic or not. So it is what it is, but we've just got to carry on and be focused and be proud of what we're doing.
Looking at it from a sort of relatively outsider's perspective, I would have thought testing pitches going forward with the safety of players, the health and safety issues on pitches, the environmental issues on pitches, it would look to me that the need for somebody like you and your company is probably greater now than it was even when you started.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're focusing upon. The kind of model before was companies will come in and test pitches, and it would only be done like 4 times a year or once a month, kind of maximum. Whereas we're trying to change the model a bit. We're providing the equipment, we're providing the training to test, so the staff can do it themselves. And obviously we have the software platform which backs all that up. We can also offer remote consultancy as well. So yeah, it's just trying to help clubs in a sustainable way. We focus on getting kind of energy readings, and so clubs know exactly their kind of carbon footprint and they can report on it, because that's where we feel the world is going towards. So that's kind of what we're gearing up. Obviously we see all around the world data being a crucial part, and everyone's getting data rammed down their throats, but that's kind of how we learn, how we can monitor, and how we can improve in the future, is collating this data and using it in the right way.
Mm-hmm. And your company has a strong continental European flavour, with Young Strikers as your chief executive and Francois Brulé in Southern Europe. Does that mean that you're in a position where you can see where other countries are talking about the pandemic, see where other countries are coming out of it, and you can get the experience of them to pass on to the countries that are maybe slightly further behind the curve when it comes to that? Has that been beneficial to you guys?
Yeah, obviously, everyone who knows me, I like to network and share ideas, and that's exactly kind of what we've taken into Raw Stadia. Being kind of a more European country, we don't want to be a kind of company that sends an Englishman into these other countries that doesn't know their situation, doesn't know their climate. So that's why we offer more of a process where we provide them the training so they can do it themselves, gain knowledge themselves, and we just give that helping hand. Obviously, it helps with Jan and Francois that we can talk the languages, we can communicate better, obviously, with them, but offer them, a little bit more than what would be restricted if it was just me on my own, if that makes sense.
How are your language skills? I'd have thought with all these French players at the Arsenal, you'd have picked up quite a bit of the lingo.
Yeah, when you're in a football club, you kind of learn the bad language, I suppose, more than him. But yeah, the one that I struggle with is Dutch. Like obviously, Jan is from Belgium, and he speaks Dutch. And yeah, when he's in full flow, I can't understand a single word at all. So yeah, he could be calling me every name under the sun. I just and Francois, when he's talking, is a bit more smooth and suave, and yeah, so. My language skills are very limited, but I'm lucky that the team that we have can speak multiple languages and can help in multiple countries, which is really nice.
Now, you mentioned that doing things remotely is the preferred option at the moment. I can fully understand why that would be the case. But how much do you feel, going forward, do you feel you need to feel the pitch under your feet to help? Or is that the touchy-feely element that you say has been replaced by the data-driven element?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like, what we're trying to do is not replace it, but teach people of what they're seeing and what they're feeling and what it actually means in the long run. You still need that element of feeling. You always will, but the more data, if you're seeing stuff that if you're not seeing the data which you can feel, then we're not collecting the data in the right way, if that makes sense. So that's what we're trying to develop and learn. We're trying to make the data actionable, because often when people are taking data, they kind of brush it aside because they don't really understand it and they can't really use it in the right way. So that's what we're really focusing upon, to make it actionable. So to make it actionable, you need it to be visual and for people to easily understand it. And sometimes I use, if you're presenting to management, if you present them with a 10-page report with loads of Excel numbers and stuff like that, they just look at it and think, I don't know what it, and it's not because they're not particularly, interested in the document. It's just they don't love what we do. So it's like, they need to understand it in a couple of minutes. They need to make a decision upon it and move on to the next thing. And that's kind of what we focus upon. So really easy to understand, really visual, and try and bring that data to life a little bit.
Now, looking at the broader picture, do you think we're coming into an age where perhaps chairmen, CEOs of the big clubs are becoming more aware of the need to invest in the playing surface, or is that still fanciful talk? I mean, I think, and the training ground as well, obviously.
I think you've seen a real movement in the last, I'd say, 10 years probably, maybe 15, with the introduction of hybrid pitches, artificial lighting, all the technologies going into products and seed production now. And I think clubs do invest quite a lot of money into surfaces. Obviously, it can always be more, and we want to push the boundaries more and more. But what we're trying to say is try and make informed decisions upon that. So, when you actually need to construct, have you got data to show the pitch declining and seeing actually when you actually need to make that decision for that investment? Or if you're buying new machinery, have you, really thought about what that machinery does? Is that the best type of machinery? Have you got data to prove to the management that you need that investment for that machinery? So yeah, the investment is there. We need to wisely, because it's not the be all and end all. Obviously, they have other things that they need to spend on, so we need to prove why we need that investment. And and one of the things that we focus upon is the kind of player aspect, the player interaction. And we really feel if we can get that right and prove the effect of what the surface has on the players, I think that automatically makes the surface much more empowered, because we can show the effect on the player. This is what you need to improve it. Clubs are much more likely to say, if this surface cuts my injury percentage down by 3%, 10%, or whatever it could be, then it's much more worth the value of that budget.
Now, I was very lucky to get the opportunity to meet with Darren Baldwin at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium latter part of last year, and it's a real wow factor, really. Do you think we're getting close to where, not perfection, because perfection doesn't exist, but do you think we're getting to the stage now where the improvements that can be made are very incremental, that we're only looking at marginal gains, to talk about the cycling analogy?
Yeah, and that kind of leads quite nicely into the player aspect, the marginal gains kind of concept, which we use a little bit. But yeah, I think aesthetically, I think a lot of clubs are very close, not to perfection, but to a very high standard, especially in the Premier League and a few leagues around Europe are very close. And that's because that's what we've kind of focused on with the lights, with the constructions, with the technology. But we haven't, my feeling is groundsman still doesn't really know how to produce pitch for the players. And that's kind of where we want to be as Raw Stadia, to help that process. Okay, your pitch conditions like this, it affects your players like this. And on the other side of the table are the performance staff. So the performance staff, we now know, obviously, the surface affects the players, but the performance staff don't really take the data. They don't have much knowledge on the surfaces. So we really need to bring them two together and really help the clubs in that way. So aesthetically, we're not far away. Technology will keep improving on that, precision farming, and introducing new technologies from that aspect will help the aesthetics. But I think we need to just focus on the effect of what the surfaces have on the player, and that's kind of where we want to be.
And about you, Reece, I mean, you're now in a position where you've got your own company. You're now having to deal with VAT, annual accounts, as much as you would be pH levels and height to cut. It's a steep learning curve. How are you coping with all of that?
Yeah, obviously, it's certainly pushed me out of my comfort zone, and there's a lot more to think about than I expected, naively, probably. Obviously, dealing with the mental aspect of everything, what's going on, but yeah, with the business side of the company, it's a different ball game altogether. Obviously, I was a little bit used to the management of teams and doing that side, and a little bit of budgeting and things like that. But yeah, owning a business is obviously a different ball game, and especially when you're dealing with different currency, different legal requirements in all different countries, it's really tricky. And yeah, I didn't expect that to be for where I am. Like the legal costs alone, like when you're dealing with contracts and all things like that, is just incredible. And I was very naive going into it, but luckily, like Jan, our CEO, he has a bit more experience and is much more geared up for that. So he helps, and yeah, his experience has been invaluable in that side. Well,
it's been a hell of a year to kick off, and if you can get through this year successfully, all you can see is the sunny uplands going forward. So good luck for you, and good luck for the company going forward. And I'm sure we'll get to meet up in reality before too long. It'd be nice to get back down to your neck of the woods and maybe have a chat and sit down, have a beer and a coffee or something along those lines. So until then, good luck, and thanks very much for your time this morning, Reece.
No, thank you. And I obviously enjoy reading the Turf Matters articles, and I just want to thank you for your support for a new company get going, like to have done a couple of interviews with us. I'm really grateful for. So thank you.